China expels 2 former defense ministers over alleged corruption. Expert, the beginning of internal turmoil. Close confidant of Xi Jinping's military disappears. 2 major possibilities arise. Hundreds of thousands of police deployed by CCP to seize electric bikes. Tragedy sparks owners' revolt. China's economy slumps. Massive vacancies in logistics warehouses and industrial parks. U.S. report spotlights CCP's coercion against Shenyun. It's all covered in today's China Truths. China expels 2 former defense ministers over alleged corruption. Expert, the beginning of internal turmoil. On June 27, 24 senior cadres from the Chinese Communist Party Politburo met in Beijing and examined reports regarding the investigation's findings on 2 former defense ministers, Li Shangfu and Wei Fenghe. Experts believe that this shows instability within the CCP regime and marks the start of broader internal turmoil within the CCP's military forces. According to Xinhua, the Chinese regime announced the expulsion of Li Shangfu from the CCP and the termination of his status as a delegate to the 20th CCP Congress, followed by his prosecution. On August 31, 2023, the CCP Central Military Commission's Discipline Inspection Commission launched an investigation into Li Shangfu. The commission decided to strip him of his military status and rescind his rank as an army general. Xinhua reported that the investigation found Li Shangfu seriously breached political and organizational discipline. He sought personal and others' benefits in personnel decisions, misused his positions to secure advantages for others, and accepted substantial sums in valuables, leading to suspicions of bribery. Additionally, he is suspected of offering bribes for undue benefits. The investigation also uncovered further violations by Li, and his case is described as extremely serious in nature, extremely bad in influence, and extremely huge in harm. On the same day, the authorities also expelled Li Shangfu's predecessor, Wei Fenghe, from the CCP and the military, revoking his general's rank in the rocket force and terminating his delegate status at the 20th Congress, with subsequent transfer for prosecution. Investigations into Wei Fenghe began on September 21, 2023. The charges against Wei Fenghe echoed those against Li Shangfu, although Wei was not accused of bribery. Commenting on the latest development, Su Ziyun, director of the Strategic and Resource Studies Institute at Taiwan's National Defense and Security Research Institute, remarked that the CCP's announcement targeting 2 tigers under the guise of anti-corruption might be ambiguous as to whether it constitutes a political purge. He pointed out that even if the accusations were based on actual corruption, both individuals were ministers appointed under Xi Jinping's administration, highlighting Xi's poor judgment and the potentially demoralizing effect this could have. Additionally, Xinhua reported that the CCP Politburo has confirmed that the 3rd plenary session of the 20th CCP Congress will take place in Beijing from July 15 to 18. The meeting, which claims to focus on further comprehensive deepening of reforms, was delayed by 6 months. The authorities emphasized the necessity of maintaining the comprehensive leadership of the party throughout the meeting. In response, Wu Seiqi, a researcher at the Cross-Strait Policy Association and a consultant for Taiwan's think tanks, told the Epoch Times that the Central CCP's emphasis on strengthening the party's leadership reflects Xi Jinping's concerns about his inability to control economic development. He fears this might undermine his position within the regime. Therefore, he intends to suppress any dissenting views at the 3rd plenary session. Moreover, at this juncture, the way the 2 former defense ministers are being dealt with sends a strong message of deterrence to others. Furthermore, as previously reported, in a political meeting held on June 17 in Shenyun, Xi Jinping remarked that the situations of the world, the nation, the party, and the military are all experiencing complex and significant changes. The Chinese military, according to him, faces intricate and complex political challenges. He stressed the importance of ensuring that the control of firearms remains in the hands of those who are loyal and dependable. Since last year, several generals and military-industrial leaders who were promoted by Xi Jinping have been dismissed, which experts interpret as a sign of Xi Jinping's insecurity regarding his control over the military. According to Wu Seiqi, Xi Jinping's primary concern now is the possibility of adversaries within the military orchestrating a coup. Wu also pointed out that the unresolved issue of corruption within the military negatively impacts its effectiveness. Numerous international think tanks have observed that the Chinese military's capabilities are still far behind those of leading Western forces. Xi Jinping's ambition to showcase China's modernization through military prowess may not align with reality. Commentator Zhong Yuan told Epoch Times that before the third plenary session, the Chinese government was compelled to publicly address the misconduct of Li Shangfu and Wei Fenghe, as a procedural formality was necessary for the session. He argued that this process has effectively exposed the internal conflicts within the CCP's military. Both were former defense ministers and state councillors, holding deputy state-level positions, making them some of the highest-ranking officials to be disciplined by the CCP since the 19th National Congress. The handling of their cases revealed severe damage to the military structure and the image of its high-ranking leaders, with extremely negative impacts and immense risks. Essentially, the CCP was forced to acknowledge significant problems within the military. Zhong mentioned that earlier reports of rocket force generals and military-industrial leaders being stripped of their positions as the National People's Congress, NPC, or Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, CPPCC, delegates were likely only circulated internally. Nonetheless, the repercussions on the CCP's military and political framework are clearly significant. The party's senior leadership is evidently anxious about further substantial issues and is taking strict precautions at the third plenary session, especially since both officials were personally selected by Xi Jinping in succession, which has severely tarnished his reputation. Zhong concluded, more critically for Xi Jinping is determining who else he can genuinely trust. The issue involving Qin Gang remains unresolved, and there could be even more significant problems ahead. These are indicative of the CCP's ongoing decline and impending collapse. Close confidant of Xi Jinping's military disappears, two major possibilities arise. Before the third plenary session, external observers noted the disappearance of Zhong Xiaojun, a close associate of CCP leader Xi Jinping and the former director of the Central Military Commission's office. In detail, on April 23, during Xi Jinping's inspection at the Army Medical University in Chongqing, he was accompanied by officials including He Weidong, the vice chairman of the Military Commission, and Fang Yongxiang, the deputy minister of Veterans Affairs. Notably absent was Zhong Xiaojun, who typically would have been present beside Xi. This led the Hong Kong Sing-Tao Daily to speculate that Fang Yongxiang had succeeded Zhong as the director of the Central Military Commission's office, effectively becoming Xi's chief administrator within the Military Commission. However, these appear to be mere media rumors and speculations. Official CCP government websites still list Zhong Xiaojun as the director of the Central Military Commission's office, with Fang Yongxiang continuing as the deputy minister of Veterans Affairs. An article by the Epoch Times on June 26 highlighted Zhong Xiaojun's crucial role for Xi Jinping, who relies on three main lieutenants, Chen Yixin overseeing national security, Wang Xiaohong in charge of public security, and Zhong Xiaojun managing the military. Of these, Xi's ultimate dependence is on the military, with Zhong being a key figure in controlling the armed forces and a pivotal element of Xi's power base. Since Xi's rise to power, he has conducted several purges within the military to remove individuals associated with his predecessor Jiang Zemin, such as Su Kai-ho and Guo Buxiong. Rumors suggest that Zhong played a significant role in these purges. In November of the previous year, Gao Guangjuan, a former lecturer at the Chinese Public Security University, disclosed that around 2018, she had set up a specialized assassination unit known as the Operations Bureau of the Central Military Commission, which has been linked to the mysterious deaths of several high-ranking military officials. Speculation exists that if such a unit does exist, Zhong Xiaojun may wield considerable power within it. Unlike Chen Yixin and Wang Xiaohong, Zhong has maintained a very low key, and his full resume has never been released by official CCP media. Despite being a low-key yet crucial figure to Xi, Zhong Xiaojun's sudden prominence prior to the third plenary session has raised eyebrows. The Epoch Times article posits that this could either be due to Xi's adversaries attempting to spread rumors to discredit Zhong, or it might indicate that Zhong has indeed fallen from favor. It is said that Xi Jinping strongly believes in ancient Chinese prophecies, particularly the 46th image of the Tui Bei Tu, a Chinese prophecy book from the 7th century Tang dynasty, which states, "A soldier carries a bow, saying only, 'I am the old man with white hair.' In the East Gate, a golden sword lies hidden. A brave warrior enters the imperial palace from the rear gate." She has nearly annihilated high-ranking officials of the rocket force, whose name phonetically matches Bao, leading to the mysterious death of Li Keqiang, who also has Bao in his name, and to the reduction of powers of another similarly named Li Chang. Zhong Xiaojun fits the description of the soldier from the 46th image, with his surname including Golden Sword and being in the imperial palace. It cannot be ruled out that a fearful Xi Jinping might start suspecting Zhong Xiaojun, nor can it be dismissed that Zhong might be the soldier in the prophecy who seizes the opportunity to challenge Xi during turmoil. Hundreds of thousands of police deployed by CCP to seize electric bikes. Tragedy sparks owners' revolt. Recently, there has been a surge in the Chinese police's large-scale sweep targeting electric vehicles on public roads, with numerous videos depicting their violent enforcement methods spreading across the internet. On June 25 in Guangzhou, as a man whose child had a high fever of 39 degrees Celsius was rushing the child to the hospital, they were stopped by traffic police who detained his electric vehicle and refused to let him proceed, requesting him to wait for 2 minutes. The man, clearly agitated, responded, "I am alone with a child." "You have a family too. Can't you allow me to take my child to the hospital first?" Many people make modifications, but are you going to take responsibility if something happens to my child? This is a matter of life and death. I deal with your mother's modifications. Why do you need to enforce the law so violently? In the video, both the man and the child are wearing helmets, and the child's face appears red, crying loudly out of fear. Another officer, addressing those recording the scene, stated, "You cannot cut the beginning or the end of the video and post it online. You must take responsibility for the legal consequences." Another viral video captures a police officer chasing an electric bike over some distance. When it became apparent that the owner would not stop, the officer forcefully pushed both the rider and the bike off the road, resulting in the owner falling to a road on a lower level. In another case, police tried to confiscate the only property of a young girl, which caused her to break down and cry out in distress. Additionally, during this process, a police officer shouted, "This isn't your bike, it belongs to the state." A delivery man's electric bike was seized by the police, driving him to despair and prompting him to yell, "I'm finished if I'm late." Furthermore, there have been cases where individuals, overwhelmed by the confiscation of their electric bikes, were driven to seek death. Such actions eventually led to widespread public anger. Netizens have voiced their opinions, commenting, "The government has gone mad with desperation, the police are losing their humanity, and they will not stop until driven to absolute despair." As previously reported, China has deployed a significant number of police officers for nighttime sweep of electric bikes. On the night of May 25 alone, 74,000 teams were mobilized, totaling 256,000 personnel. There are rumors that Chinese police are confiscating electric bikes to clear the way for shared electric bikes. Moreover, a Chinese Communist Party saying goes, "Where there is oppression, there is resistance." On June 25, a group of electric bike owners challenged the police by performing various complex stunts right in front of the traffic police vehicles, prompting netizens to comment that the electric bike revolution has scared the Chinese Communist Party. Additionally, in some areas, shared electric bikes have also been subjected to vandalism. China's economy slumps, massive vacancies in logistics warehouses and industrial parks. China's economy remains in a downturn, exacerbating the unresolved real estate crisis, which has led to tightened consumer spending and impacted the growth of domestic e-commerce. A report from Bloomberg on June 25 highlights a decrease in tenants within logistics centers, compelling property owners to lower rents and shorten lease durations. Real estate investment trusts, REITs, holding commercial properties in China have seen significant stock price declines, with further reductions in rental income anticipated by fund managers. Real estate consultancy services have reported that logistics properties in East and North China are experiencing vacancy rates near 20%, the highest in several years. The situation is worsened by the continuous construction of new warehouses. Xavier Lee, a real estate stock analyst for Morningstar, expressed concern, stating, "We are confronting a surplus issue with logistics and industrial properties in China." Meanwhile, Sinton's data from this year's 618 e-commerce shopping festival revealed a 7% decrease in total gross merchandise volume, GMV, to 743 billion yuan, approximately $102 billion, marking the first downturn in sales. This slowdown reflects the broader economic challenges, including geopolitical tensions that have prompted businesses to relocate manufacturing operations abroad and a slowdown in cross-border trade, which heavily impacts export-driven industrial activities. The Purchasing Managers' Index, PMI, for May indicated a contraction in manufacturing, with a drop to 49.5 from 50.4 in April, highlighting reduced industrial activity. Data from Cushman & Wakefield shows that the warehouse vacancy rate in East China climbed to 19.2% in the first quarter, above the national average, with significant reductions in logistics rents in major cities like Beijing and Shenzhen. Industry experts have stressed the intense competition among tenants and the instability in the business environment. Luke Lee, managing director of ESR Group Limited, a real estate asset management company based in Hong Kong, noted the fierce tenant competition and mentioned landlords' efforts to retain tenants by offering flexible leasing terms and improved amenities. In summary, China's industrial parks are facing a significant outflow of multinational and domestic companies, with Beijing's business parks recording a vacancy rate of 20.5% in the first quarter. The post-pandemic economic recovery has been sluggish, leading companies such as Lonza Group, a Swiss healthcare manufacturing company, to close facilities following strategic reassessments. The continuous decline in foreign direct investment further reflects the decreasing allure of China as an investment destination. Humbert Pang, president of Gaw Capital Partners China, a real estate private equity fund management firm headquartered in Hong Kong, highlighted the cost-cutting measures being adopted in response to economic pressures. Ng Kiat, president of Mapletree REIT, pointed to the need to focus on tenant retention and the divestment of underperforming assets, indicating a persistently unstable business environment in China for the forthcoming year. U.S. report spotlights CCP's coercion against Shenyun. The U.S. State Department has highlighted Beijing's ongoing efforts to suppress Shenyun Performing Arts, a New York-based performing group known for its global tours that promote traditional Chinese culture and draw attention to human rights violations in China. The department's annual Religious Freedom Report, issued on June 26, details how the Chinese Communist Party pressures venues worldwide to cancel or refuse hosting performances by Shenyun. According to the report, many Shenyun performers practice Falun Gong, a spiritual practice involving both meditative exercises and teachings based on the three core principles of truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance. In 1999, the CCP declared Falun Gong practitioners a top enemy, deploying an all-out campaign to arrest and torture adherents across China in a bid to eradicate the faith. Therefore, in addition to traditional Chinese dances, some dances of Shenyun portray the present-day CCP's persecution of Falun Gong practitioners in China. Since its establishment in 2006, Shenyun, with a mission to showcase China before communism, has faced consistent targeting by the Chinese regime. The group's world tours, which have reached over 20 countries across 5 continents, have encountered sabotage, including incidents involving their tour buses, and last-minute cancellations of venue bookings following threats from Chinese officials concerning economic repercussions. This coercive strategy has been notably successful in South Korea, which, despite being a close ally of the U.S., relies heavily on China as its largest trading partner. The State Department referenced findings from an Epoch Times investigation, which included statements from a Chinese embassy official in South Korea openly acknowledging efforts to communicate China's opposition to Shenyun performances. U.S. officials have repeatedly expressed concerns about China's coercive diplomacy, particularly ahead of the U.S.-China summit in San Francisco in November 2023. A senior official from the Biden administration highlighted the detrimental impact of the CCP's economic coercion on international relations, emphasizing the importance for nations to build resilience and collectively counteract these tactics, which are antithetical to the smooth functioning of a global capital system. The Religious Freedom Report was released just a day after the U.S. House of Representatives passed the Falun Gong Protection Act, aimed at penalizing those involved in the forced organ harvesting of Falun Gong practitioners under the Chinese Communist regime. Attending the report launch event was Falun Gong practitioner Zhang Yuhua, a former dean of the Russian language department at a key Chinese university who spent a combined 7.5 years in Chinese prisons and went through repeated police harassment over her faith until she fled China. The prison guards made her stand for days and weeks on end, denying her sleep, until her legs, and then the rest of her body, swelled up and she had trouble breathing. Ms. Zhang's husband is still in China and under the close watch of Chinese police. He has received prison sentences totaling more than 10 years since the CCP's persecution campaign against Falun Gong began. At the event, Rashad Hussain, the U.S. Ambassador at Large for International Religious Freedom, lauded Ms. Zhang as a courageous leader. Grateful for the passage of the bill and continued support from U.S. officials, Ms. Zhang emphasized the significant impact of such international efforts, stating that they serve as a light of hope for those oppressed in China. She said, "The CCP says they don't care about U.S. government action. But indeed, they are afraid." Representative Scott Perry of Pennsylvania, the lead sponsor of the bipartisan bill, expressed his hope that those enduring persecution in China will maintain their hope. He said, "Hope needs to be alive. It's not happening fast enough, but it is happening over time." Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.